for the most part, that like you were saying that they condense the formations and things like that. But I believe that the key to their offense is learning to stay reading your keys. A lot of things that they do, as soon as you look the wrong way or if you're not looking where you're supposed to, somebody will slip out and release on you, be down the field. And the more that they condense that formation, the more that they can rely on small motions and shifts and just try and confuse you. If everything's so close, sometimes you don't see things split apart. And, they got a great physical team, so we've been having to learn how to take on, not learn, but we've been having to change a couple drills to make us take on more blocks, more so than like another week where we take a block and shed it. This time we'd have to, go in and try and take out a lineman. We have to get used to taking on bigger people. And I think that it's worked out pretty well for us. It's nothing that we're not used to. It's just something that we got to be more accustomed to this time because we'd be doing it more than 2 or 3 times like we would against, say, Washington and Washington State. It's going to be more like 10 or 15 or 20.
So you're working on then more attacking and defeating a man more than a space?
Yeah, exactly.
So when they do that, when they bring in 3 or 4 tight ends, 6, 7 offensive linemen, how difficult is it for you to remember to still think there might be a catch? We're so tied up when they're looking at the card.
I don't think that that's a problem, simply for the fact that during the call you have something that you're supposed to look at. If you're looking at the right things, then the play is going to tell you what's going to happen. If you're not looking, then that's when you get tricked. I don't feel like it's hard to know the difference between run and pass. The only way it will be is if you're staring at the quarterback. The ball isn't going to tell you where to go. It's the other players that you're supposed to be watching. Everybody has a job to do. If you're not doing your job and you're just sitting up there watching the quarterback, you're not doing your job, and that's how people get fooled.
You feel like you can still disguise coverages, change coverages, play mind games with a quarterback when he's looking at such a tight window?
Yeah, I feel like it helps them out for the fact that they're closing things down, but for us, that makes it easier for us because everybody's so close together. Sometimes you can trick them into thinking like nobody's going to move, and then all of a sudden everybody spreads out. People are moving and motioning, and so we move with them, but it's all just a fake, Everybody has to play the meta game when you're in a football game, and it can go both ways. Not only for us, but we got to play it with the quarterback. We got to make him think that what he's seeing is what it is, but really it could be something completely different. You're always moving, motioning, and trying to trick somebody. I feel like it's always happening on every single game, on every down.
How much different is this Stanford offense this year compared to last year? Obviously, we relied so heavily on the tight ends last year, but lose a guy like Ertz, and they've got some guys out on the edge now that seem to really be able to make some plays, and a guy like Montgomery. Is it a little different than last year?
Yeah, they definitely are still that hard-nosed running style team, but I feel like this year they're able to spread the ball out a little bit more because these guys, they're a little bit more seasoned. They're a little quicker out there on the outside. They got some guys that can run screens and short passes, and they've been able to open their passing game up a little bit. I've seen them go into a spread a couple times when I watch it on film. And for me, I feel like, oh, okay, that's interesting. They don't really do that much. But, for the most part, they're still a very similar team to what they have been. And I think that that's their advantage because they're the only team that kind of does it.
Last year, Hogan was coming into that game making just a second career start. I imagine he was a difficult guy to scout because of that. There wasn't a whole lot on him. How has the scout been on a guy like him this year round? You've got basically a full season's worth of game film to look at.
It does help for the fact that we've been able to watch him a little bit more. But I think more or less like it's a quarterback that's in a good system. So it's in good hands when it comes to him, so we're able to pick up more on his tendencies. But for the most part, the offense kind of stays very similar to what it was. I still remember when we were watching film and they had Andrew Luck back there, so I know what they're capable of, and I feel like he's a great player. But also, we need to make sure that we watch what we're supposed to do at the same time. I think his advantage is that he can run and he can slip tackles. So that's one thing that he brings to the table that's different.
Does it bother you guys at all that sometimes you guys are considered an undersized and small defense, especially in a game when you get to go against an offense that's as big and physical as Stanford is? It seems like a lot of nationally, you guys are obviously underlooked, or overlooked, I should say, defensively, but then also size-wise, they consider you a small defense. It's not physical.
Yeah, I mean, they can say whatever they want to, but I personally don't think so. I don't think size has anything to do with it because, I mean, I feel like I can compete with the best of anybody, especially even the bigger guys. I'll take on anybody that I have to, and I know that everybody else feels the same way. And as much as they want to say that we're undersized, we have some huge people on our D-line. Not linebackers. These kids, they know how to put up weight in the weight room. They're not little. I mean, the numbers may not say that we're all that, but then again, you got to think about it. Our team runs so much. They're all slim. You know, they're working on trying to be even faster than everybody else. And that might be our advantage, but that doesn't mean that we're not strong. That doesn't mean that we're not actually big. You know, I feel like people just weigh a little bit less here because of our lifestyle that we do. Maybe that's what it is.
So it'll be better for you guys down the road then.
Yeah, I always think it is. You know, a lot of guys, they leave here and they're still in really good shape.
Yeah.
Brian, you know how many times I've told people the size doesn't matter?
I believe it. I was always the runt in my family until, like, I would say, like, the last 6 years of my life. I was always tiny. I was always undersized when I was growing up. And all the sports that I ever played, everybody was probably 10 or 15 pounds more than me and everything. I don't know. I just been used to it. It doesn't even faze me anymore.
What did you guys do so well against them last year? Because I think everyone looks at what the offense wasn't able to do, but you guys obviously held them to the 17 points.
Yeah, I feel like we played a great game. We tackled really well. We took on a lot of blocks, and we made sure that we just read our keys and reacted to where the ball was going. I feel like this year we can do a couple things differently after watching a couple things on our film, a couple plays that they could have gotten, that we could have stopped easily. You know, we do a lot of things differently now, and that's what makes us a better team. But I also feel like they can watch film and they'll try and find something in order to get that little edge on us as well. But for the most part, we played an excellent game. I feel like we've been playing really good this whole season, so we got to continue that trend. It's not going to be very many points on this board because they're going to play a lot of ball controlling, and, you know, they're going to try and milk that clock and try and keep our offense off of the field. That's what their advantage is the way that they play football, is that they can keep our offense off the field. So I feel like this year as a defense, we got to try and get off the field and let our offense do what they need to do, because they run so fast, they run their plays so fast that, like, you know, we'll be back on the field in less than a minute or 2 minutes sometimes, you know, and that gives them time to take up 5. So we just got to try and balance out these possessions.
Is Montgomery a guy who can be defended one-on-one outside, or does he require a little help over the top?
I feel like our corners are guys that are capable of covering him. You know, we got some of the best corners in the nation, and, you know, if they need backup, then, you know, I'll be there to help them. But he's a great player. I'm not trying to disrespect him in any way, but I feel like he also knows that he's got his work cut out for him when it comes to Efo and Terrence and Troy out there on the outside. So, you know, it's going to go both ways. You can't just give somebody a credit and say, oh, we need to watch out for this guy because we can't cover him. Who says that we can't, you know?